My Libra friends, this week Mars will be squaring Neptune from your 10th house. Now, this means that in your career, there might be some unclear professional expectations that you're trying to get a grasp on, but they elude you. There can be broken promises from employers or other authority figures. There can be political manoeuvring and situations where you can't quite see what is happening behind the scenes. You might work extremely hard towards a professional goal only to discover that the person or the institution you were relying upon was never actually going to deliver what they promised. Forewarned, forearmed, Libra, I'm going to explore this energy of Mars square Neptune in greater depth for you here in this video, and I'm also going to help you navigate it to the best of your advantage. This is a video forecast for your sun, moon, or rising sign. You can check out all 3 videos and they will tell you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. I'm Ksenia, my friends, and welcome to the Astro News and Weather Report for the 3rd week of August 2026. This is tropical Vedic astrology that I will be using, not sidereal astrology. Look it up if you need to find out about it. And yes, I am a real person, not AI. Don't forget, if you don't want to listen to the information about how the skies will affect us all this week, then you can use the timestamps to skip to your zodiac sign forecast. And now for something you'll really like. Well, hello everybody. I'm so glad you could join us today. Do we have some news for you? I'm here today with my husband, David Warner Matheson, and we are going to be hosting the most amazing astrology retreat and astronomy retreat in the High Sierras at Lake Tahoe. Dave, do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Well, thanks, Ksenia. Really great to join your audience, and the event is called Stars Over Tahoe. It will be in the last weekend of September 25th, 26th, and 27th. That's a Friday evening, then Saturday and Sunday at a beautiful resort in Lake Tahoe. It's really
gorgeous.
A stunning and special part of the state of California and Nevada and part of the country, and the energy there is just fabulous, and it's a beautiful time of year. And not only that, great stargazing. Go ahead.
Awesome stargazing. So one of the things that we're offering at this retreat is some stargazing tours hosted by Dave. Dave, do you want to just fill us in about what that might involve?
Well, in addition to, during the day, we'll be having presentations about astrology.
Oh yeah, you're going to learn how to read your charts in deeper, more dynamic ways. I've got some great topics to talk about with you. Dave will be sharing about mythology.
And how it's based on the stars, the different stories and characters. And then at night, the glorious mountain air and high altitude will give us a beautiful view of the stars, weather permitting, of course, but at the end of September is one of the best times for stargazing in the Tahoe area. We should see the gorgeous Milky Way arching overhead, and I'll be pointing out the constellations using a laser pointer, many of which you may have never been able to recognize before. You know, a lot of people who know about astrology may know the characteristics associated with Scorpio or Sagittarius, but may have never been able to find them in the sky. So I'll be pointing out some of the zodiac constellations that will be visible, but as well as the band of the zodiac, the other stars all the way up to the dome of the night sky at the North Star and the Big Dipper. Most of us know the Big Dipper and Orion, and that's it, because we never get taught this. We never get taught how to find them. So I'll assist with that.
That's awesome, because it's actually so important. There's a branch of astrology called visual astrology that works mostly based on what is going on visually in the heavens, which is very different than what we see on the astrology map. So being able to sit under the skies and know what you're looking at is actually very, very important to really flesh out your capabilities if you're interested in becoming an astrologer. So this is a really exciting experience that we're offering. Plus, of course, we also have the immersion in the Sierra environment with the pine forests and the beautiful panoramic views, and obviously the gorgeous mountain air and lovely lake itself. Such an unforgettable backdrop, which I'm really excited to experience with you all. We're also going to be having some didgeridoo and sound bath sessions, which will be very very wonderful because it's an energetic reset. That's what these instruments are designed to do. So we will be doing some little adventures that settle our nervous system, because we all live such stressful lives these days. It's hard to switch off and just immerse ourselves in the beauty and restorative qualities of nature. So we really want to support people in doing that as a part of this retreat. And of course, the retreat centre has a lot of nice things like saunas and day spas and all that nice stuff as well.
And in addition to the structured activities, we'll also have plenty of time just to mingle and spend time with Ksenia. If you've never met her in person, spend time with me. And we'll be having meals together, beautiful meals. And it's just going to be a chance to meet new friends and have a wonderful retreat, stars over Tahoe, in one of the most beautiful parts of the world.
So I'm very excited about this. I know we have some great plans for what's going to happen, and we hope you can join us. I've been astounded at how quickly things are booking up already. This is a curated group. It's not like a conference where there's just, everyone can come. So we do have limits on the amount of people, because we want to be able to interact with everybody and form friendships with everybody and create community with everybody who comes. So with that in mind, there are limited spots. So do make sure that you get in early so you don't miss out, and we don't want anyone to be disappointed. So we hope to see you at Stars Over Tahoe, and we look forward to sharing a really magnificent experience with each and every one of you. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks so much. See you soon.
See you soon. Thank you to Ksenia and Dave for that one. Now, on the 17th of August this week, we're going to have Mars making a square aspect to Neptune. Now, I would say this is the most important aspect forming this week, although do keep in mind that we are actually still in the eclipse gateway phase of eclipse season. We're coming up to the lunar or full moon eclipse. So the eclipses are actually the most powerful manifestors of this week's energy. Mars square Neptune will just be secondary. I hope you all got to enjoy the individual 20-minute solar eclipse forecasts that I did for your specific sign, so that you know what's going to be unfolding for you in the next 6 months of your life. I was so excited by what I saw for almost every single sign that this eclipse was bringing you. If you missed the forecast, you can use the link in the description below to catch yourself up with what's going to unfold because of the recent solar eclipse, and get ready for the new lunar eclipse videos that will be coming out in the week ahead. But now, Mars square Neptune on the 17th. This is an energy that stirs up in us very strong desires that really, really want to be expressed, especially if those desires are related to Neptunian themes of unconditional love, soulmate connections, compassion, being a spiritual warrior for the good, and tapping into your creative intuition. You want love, and you want it now. Mars energy wants to make it happen. Or you hunger to fight for a compassionate cause, and nothing's going to stop you. This is the positive expression of Mars in a square to Neptune. But it is a hard aspect, obviously, and therefore it is not without challenge. Neptune is often associated with scandal. So be sure that your passions and your actions don't lead you into the murky depths of gossip, ruined reputations, hurt and disappointment. And if you see those things unfolding in your life, you'll know exactly where they're coming from. So keep calm, seek to be as rational as possible during this time, avoid being salacious, and cling to your faith in the goodness of the universe, and you'll get through this time with aplomb. So in a nutshell, let's have a look at what Mars square Neptune can bring us. Well, we can have trouble filling our desires. We want the desires, but they're eluding us in some way. We're perhaps feeling some intense and very idealistic cravings, but we might be limited in how we can take action around them. We might feel insecure or too timid. Mars energy is somehow thwarted. You might use indirect or underhanded means to obtain what you want now. Mars usually likes things straightforward and straight up, but Neptune brings some fog into just going directly for things. You might be very straightforward in your dealings with others and choose to leave what's unsaid or the rest in the hands of God. That's another way this energy can express. Success and accomplishment, they're not really favored this week because of this aspect. This aspect only forms about once a year, but it is a time when moving ahead, accomplishing our entrepreneurial dreams and goals can be a little bit held back by Neptune's mistiness. So it's not really associated with great success unless you're looking for success and forward momentum in a Neptunian field. Creativity, art, music, poetry, things like that. We also need to be very, very careful of deception and fraud and trickery. We need to be very careful about being exploited by our peers and associates in the week ahead. And women especially need to be very careful. If you're going out to a party, make sure somebody accompanies you home, or that you drive yourself home or something like that. Don't walk home in the dark, that kind of thing. I hate saying that, but it's just the world we live in, isn't it? Women need to be extra careful this week and guard against assault or the onslaught of perverted people. Unfortunately, they're everywhere. Romantic dealings may bring out some disappointment and depression as well this week, because Neptune is this romantic idealism and Mars is this anger, and they're joining in a rather unfriendly square. Sometimes also we can't distinguish between a fantasy lover and a real love when we experience Mars and Neptune square. So that's something to be careful of if you've just met somebody, or you're just moving out in the dating scene. Be extra cautious and careful. We can also find that our sexual fantasies are really heightened now. So if you're in a loving relationship, that could actually serve you very well. You could have a lot of fun. Also, sexual restraint and caution can disappear. Just back to what I was talking about earlier, try, if that's the way you're feeling, more uninhibited, more power to you. Just be really cautious and careful about who and where and when you exhibit that with. You can also feel a lot more experimental with Mars in a square to Neptune. This is the planet of high-level love expressions, Neptune, with passion and sexual expression. And we want to try a few things out. So enjoy. Energy can be a bit laggy though. We can feel really frail or really tired and worn out. That's very annoying to me because I've just managed to get myself into a new exercise routine, and the last thing I want is to feel too exhausted to be able to make the most of it. But it's only for the week, folks, and then it'll dissipate as the separation of these two planets squaring each other occurs. So hang in there. Also, be a little bit wary of poisons and toxins and unnatural substances. Keep things as organic as possible. Nourish your blood. Mars is the blood, with green leafy vegetables and iron-rich foods this week, lest you feel more drained, and that, Neptune can sort of act a bit like the South Node sometimes and drain our energy. Also, avoid drugs and alcohol. Neptune is drugs and alcohol. Mars in medical astrology is to do with inflammation. And sometimes, if we have some drugs or alcohol, it mightn't go well with us under this square, and we can find our body getting inflamed as a result, or heated or something as a result. That in mind, I know sometimes we can't avoid it. And as I said, it's eclipse season. That's the major energy this week. So don't be too panicky about what I'm going to say. But really, it's not a good week to schedule surgery when Mars, which is the planet of cutting, it's the planet associated with surgery, is in a difficult aspect to Neptune. Things can be a bit misty and clouded for the surgeon operating on you and not quite clear enough. We can also find that if you're seeing a specialist, correct diagnosis of problems can be very difficult under this energy. Now, I often get, when I share some negative influences of planetary energy, I often get people commenting in the comments saying it's very wrong of me to cause fear in people and to scare people. Well, that's a legitimate comment, I guess, but we all lap up the good vibes of each planetary interaction, and we take that on board. Please consider when I share some things that are perhaps a little bit on the scary side that we just need to proceed with caution and care. Make sure the surgeon or the professional diagnosing us actually is fully alert and, haven't come back from a big long lunch with a few glasses of wine or something. We need to take precautions during this time. And so I share these types of things not to scare you, but to forewarn you and forearm you to help you make good decisions for your life. Now, there can be illusions and deceptions that come from medical practitioners now, which Neptune is sometimes associated with, particularly pharmacists, etc. So do your own due diligence. Do your own research around the medications that you're taking or the treatment that you're getting, and really dig deep so that you're not deluded, you're not deceived. We can also be a little bit more susceptible to infections with this square, and there might be a little bit longer recuperation time required from any procedures, etc. We also need to be very cautious in our dealings with the police and the military and mechanics. They're careers that are ruled by the planet Mars, and of course Neptune making a square can make things dealings with the police or the military or mechanics a little bit obscured, a little bit unclear. We take our car into the mechanic, he tells us what we need, and we're like, what? That doesn't make sense, I'm not understanding why I need to, I came in to get my tires replaced and you're telling me I've got to replace the carburetor or something. So be very careful and cautious and do your due diligence and research yourself with regard to your dealings with the police and the military and mechanics. But in the plus side, and there is always a plus side with all aspects, you're going to be more inspired and more imaginative if you are a creative artist. You might produce great music or paintings or poetry or work on film. Just recently I've been feeling like, what, I need to get back into my sewing. I need to get back into painting, which is something that I love to do. And that inspiration has been sort of sitting with me for a few days now. It would be a great energy to take action, Mars, around those artistic endeavors under this influence this week. We should also be careful in a personal way with our interactions with others in taking on other people's problems and expending enormous amounts of energy rescuing them, helping them, or supporting them. In other words, martyring ourselves and, blowing our vitality and our energy and our enthusiasm, Mars stuff, on giving away to people who don't deserve it, really. Be very careful about martyring yourself. We can also feel very drained by relationships. But let me clarify the kind of relationships where one person is continually giving, and the other person is just taking. So Mars square to Neptune can just absolutely leave us exhausted if we're in a relationship like that. So they're just a few of the expressions of this energy. Remember, it's not the major energy this week. We are in eclipse season, but you might notice some little snippets of this energy unfolding around you in your life. Now let's take a look at how this is going to play out through your sign. Well, Libra, you can see on the screen right in front of you that there is a massive square forming this week between Mars and Neptune. This is the energy that we're mostly feeling at play aside from the eclipses this week, and it's impacting your 10th house of career, reputation, employers, and authority figures. So this is going to be a very interesting career transit this week up until the 17th of August. It's building. It's the tension energy between these two planets is growing up until the 17th of August, and after the 17th of August, Mars will separate from Neptune and the energy will dissipate. But what's going to happen this week is you might be feeling highly motivated to accomplish something while the professional environment that you're in remains frustratingly unclear. And, it's just so interesting. Just before I did this reading, I was looking on Facebook and I read a post on Astrology, for example, about AI and its impact on astrologers and the readings that astrologers are getting and so forth. And it was very, very interesting, and this might be tying into the energy that is at play right now. You're frustrated because if you're an astrologer, it's harder to make ends meet. In fact, it's almost impossible to make ends meet because AI is taking over. It's very often wrong. In fact, I would say probably 70% of the time it mixes things up and gives you sidereal interpretations when you're asking with a Western chart and so on. It's a mess. I wouldn't trust it to save myself. But I'm using this as an example. Something feels frustrating and you're unclear about what to do about it in your career. There's a frustration from my career as an astrologer, but it might be something to do with your career in corporations or in the legal system or in the medical system or something. Something to do with your career field becomes frustrating and unclear about what direction to take to make the most of things. Now, I'm not saying that AI is and that issue for astrologers is going to resolve after the 17th of August, but there might be some paths forward that, present themselves to you in that regard after the 17th of August. Doesn't mean that AI won't be still, playing into things. I feel that while Uranus, planet of astrology, is in Gemini, that technology and the superficiality of the AI interpretations will continue to be a thing. But you may find that there are ways forward that reveal themselves after the 17th of August, and the same would apply for whatever career field you're working in. Now, an employer or an authority figure might make promises this week that they don't keep. Promises about a position or a promotion, promises about a project or an opportunity that just don't materialize. So don't put too much store by what you're told this week. I remember in one of my first jobs in the town planning field, my team leader told me that, I'm so happy after my first 6 weeks with them. Oh, well, you'll be able to do this and that and you'll earn this amount of money and blah, blah, blah. None of it came to pass. And I was left feeling like, what, didn't I come up to standard? Did I not, meet the requirements? And that wasn't it at all. It was just that he was spouting off a long time before he had any concrete evidence to support what he was claiming or the backing of the council to support his offer to me. Ridiculous. So take everything with a grain of salt this week, my beautiful Libran friends. Yes, the eclipse might cause some things to happen career-wise and project-wise, etc. But let me just say that Mars-Neptune here is going to really impact your career more than anything this week, and take things with a grain of salt. The project, the opportunity, the promotion may not materialize. And don't let it frustrate you if that should happen. Just wait and see what occurs after the 17th of August once this energy becomes clearer. You might also find that your expectations keep changing regarding career and what you want to achieve in your career. You have a goal, you have a project that you think would be great, and then by the end of this week, you're like, yeah, nah, not for me. I'm going to do something different. You complete what you thought was required, perhaps in a career as well, and the expectations of you change. The goalposts move. Is there anything more frustrating? You do what your best, and you do it really well, and you achieve what needs to be achieved, and then suddenly, oh no, hang on, we want this. God, that's annoying, isn't it? Don't be surprised if that should happen this week, Libra friends, and try to be cool and chill with it if it does, knowing, hey, that's the energy that we're all dealing with this week. Let me just say, there can also be a lot of hidden politics in your career at play this week. Something is likely to be happening behind the scenes, Neptune energy, but you probably won't have enough information to understand it. It will come to light as Mars begins to separate from this Neptune square after the 17th of August. But up until then, it's like you feel a bit like lost at sea, a bit floundering, like something's afoot, but you can't put your finger on it at work in your career. Alternatively, many of you Libran people might become very dissatisfied with your career because the reality is just failing to match the vision that you had for yourself. That may just be a momentary thing. there might be a temptation to react to that and say, well, take this job and shove it. But I would encourage you not to. I would encourage you to wait until after the 17th of August, because everything goes through ebbs and flows. This is Cancer energy in the 10th house after all. So your career can be part of that ebb and flow. You know, just because this week the reality isn't matching the vision you had doesn't mean that that's always going to be the way it is. Give it some time. Have some patience. Wait and see what comes up in the weeks ahead. Try not to give in to the temptation to react too dramatically, to quit or to confront somebody at work publicly or to announce, I'm moving in a new direction before you have all the facts. Give it time. Be patient. So what do we need to watch for this week, my Libran friends? Well, as I mentioned, career promises that don't amount to much. Make sure things are documented. If somebody's giving you an offer of a career or a project or some opportunity, make sure it's in writing so that you've got something to hang your hat on if there's any discrepancies. Also, watch out for authority figures, bosses, government departments, leaders who are somewhat evasive, who won't commit to something. Watch out also for professional gossip and impulsive career decisions. Do be cautious around that sort of thing this week. The best use of this energy for your advantage is to keep, as I've already alluded to, your professional actions really factual, really grounded, and really well documented. It's not a week for, trusting that gentleman's agreement. That will not come to pass if you put your faith in that sort of thing. Make sure things are written. Don't fight a battle based solely on suspicion either. Make sure you've got all the details. Make sure you know what is actually happening, not just a guess at, you assume something's going on because people have behaved like X, Y, and Z. No, get the facts. And best use of this energy is where you can wait to take action until after the 17th of August, when things become clearer, when they become more defined and the fog begins to lift for you.